It's so easy to get stuck making loops, and sometimes it's hard to break free from it and get closer towards finishing your beats or tracks. In this video, I'll show you one approach to creating B sections for your beats. B sections are pretty fun because they add variation and interest to the listener, and they're pretty fun to make because it's a bit like solving a puzzle, trying to find the different pieces to fit together. So before we get into making the B section, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some ingredients that I like to think about when I'm trying to come up with new sections. Of course, there are loads of different ways to approach this, but when I'm coming up with new ideas, I like to think about some main ingredients. The first is feel. This might sound a bit like an abstract sort of concept, a bit like if you were painting, you might use different colours to express the thing that you're working on. In this case, we're using chords, melody, and harmony. The second ingredient I think about is melody. Because I'm a piano player, I tend to play the melody in the uppermost voice, usually my right hand pinky, and then underneath I might harmonise that same melody or note in lots of different ways. And then the next element is theory. Music theory is useful, but it's not the be-all and end-all, and you can definitely make amazing music without knowing much music theory at all. But basically, above everything else, be creative, play what you hear, and I often find it useful to sing what I play because I'm usually making beats, so it's great to think about it from a vocalist perspective too, even though I'm not a singer. So I came up with this idea during a 30-day music challenge, where I was making music every day for 30 days, and it's a pretty solid idea that I'd love to develop further, so let's do that together in this session. So I've got an 8-bar loop, which sounds something like this. So I've created a slight variation on the drums, which I thought could be a good starting point for a B section. So basically the A section sounds like this. And then the B section. So we go from this 16th note shaker pattern into an 8th note, slightly swung hi-hat pattern. So the first thing I'm going to do is just familiarise myself with the chords again. We've got E major, 7 or 9, to E flat minor 11, D flat 7 sus, A flat minor 7. And then it repeats with a slight change in the melody. And then I've just got these two passing chords, which bring us back to the top, which is nice as a loop on its own, but let's think about different ways that we can take it somewhere new. So the first thing you could do is probably just use similar chords to the ones that we've already got. This is particularly useful if you love the idea that you're already working on and can't seem to find a way to create a wildly different B section or new section. So you could start just by jamming. So let me tell you a bit about what I was thinking just then. I started on E major 7. I went to A flat 7, but sus 4. And then I went from A flat to B. And this time I made it a major 7. So here I'm basically using the concept of an E major triad, which was our first chord, and superimposing different chord qualities on each of these notes, which I'm treating as bass notes. And I think the results are sounding pretty good. Of course, the chords that I'm using go a bit outside the E major realm, which to me just adds a bit of interest. Here I'm thinking we could move somewhere different, so I might just try different ideas. So how about we try that along with the drums that we've got? So it's kind of cool. I'm using 3 chords, It kind of stays within the realm of the original idea that we had, taking us a little bit away, which adds a bit of variety and interest. And I'm playing each of the chords a bit longer than I was in the original section, which further implies like a change of pace. Another idea that I've really been enjoying lately is to take the chords from the second to last bar and move them down a whole step, which I think really nicely anticipates a new section and helps us to change keys if we want to do that as well. Check it out. So we have this main idea. And then it repeats again, which was E major to that E flat minor. And we can take that idea, E major 7 to E flat minor 7, and move that down a whole step. So that goes from being E major 7 to now being D major 7, D flat minor 7. So together, I don't want to get into the theory too much, but we could basically take that last chord, D flat 7 sus, and use it as a chord that we can pivot from. In theory talk, we could call it a secondary dominant, which would take us nicely to F sharp minor 7, which now helps us to shift into a new section. So let's record that in. So here I'm kind of just improvising a bit and combining all of those ingredients that I was talking about together in just like a bit of a mess. And hopefully soon the chaos will begin to like make a bit of sense, but. That's kind of a tense sound, but I like it. Oh, that sounded good. So it felt pretty good to work on that and go through the motions of feeling, theory, melody, to try and find the pieces of the puzzle and kind of fit them together. What's funny is sometimes the more elaborate B sections get discarded in exchange for the more simple ideas, which might happen here because we earlier created a simplistic idea. But having said that, I think it's good to go through the motions and work it out and let your creativity flow. So let's check out what we did. So we've got the main idea. I like that melody. I think this second half might need a bit more work, especially with the melody. Back to the main theme. You know what? I'm going to create a bass for that section, even if I don't end up using it, because I think it could be fun. Sounds nice with the bass giving it a bit more context. All right, cool. So I'm going to leave it there for today. That was a pretty fun session. Came up with a couple of different B section ideas, one that's more simple, one that's a bit more elaborate. I think I might go down the elaborate route, but maybe I'll see what it's sounding like tomorrow morning once I've let my ears rest. One thing that I'd really like to do is continue to develop the melody a little bit more in the second half of that B section. In the first half of that B section, the melody is sounding just a little bit stronger, so I'd love to continue developing it in the second half as well. If you are interested in the theory side of things, or you're interested in the actual chord voicings that I was playing, you can join our Patreon, where I've uploaded a video that breaks down the chords and voicings and the theory in a bit more detail. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting these videos so far by commenting, liking, subscribing, and even sending me messages. I've been having so much fun making these videos, and it's given a real new meaning to making music for me, which is really nice. If you did enjoy this video, please subscribe. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, which is insane. But yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.